Hello everyone. So let's solve this problem, merge interval problem today. This problem is a popular problem of a FANG company, Facebook, and it's also asking other companies. It's an interesting problem. Is, there are some key points you need to know. So let's look at the statement. So we are given an array of interval. It's a 2D array, and there's a start time and the end time. So at index 0, it's a start time. Index 1, this is the end time. Merge all the overlapping intervals. So what are the overlapping intervals? For example, if this is, and that's a key point, just focus on this. If this is the start time, 1, and the end time is 3, and this is the start time 2, and the end time is 6. So let me draw for you. If you look at it here, if you draw the lines like this, so this one, for example, is starting from 1 and ending it at 3. There may be somewhere in the middle 2. And the second is starting from here. So these two are overlapping. Okay. So instead of these two intervals, could make one from 1 to 6. Okay. So what is the condition to find out if it is overlapping or not? So the end of this will be less than or equal to the start of this. And why I say equal to, for example, if it's 1 to 3, and the second one is starting from 3 to 6, you can also merge this. You don't need to have two intervals. You can say 1 to 6, which is also right. Okay. So the condition is that if the end of the first interval is less than or equal to the second start of the second interval. But before that, you have to ask the interviewer if this is sorted. If it is not sorted, so there is no better solution than n log n. You will have to sort it. And every time you sort it, so your solution converted to the O and log n. Okay, so that's the best runtime you can give it to them. So in this problem, it is not mentioned anywhere that is sorted. So without sorting, we cannot find the start end of this is less than or equal to the start of this, because this might come here. For example, if it is here and 15 and 18 is here, so you won't be able to merge this in one iteration in one pass. You'll have to do maybe the two passes, which is O(n) square. Don't go for that. So let's start solving it. And first step is that we will sort this problem. Okay. The second step is very simple, and we'll just go and merge the interval. So what's our output is going to be? It's an array. And when we merge, we don't know what will be the end result. It may be equal to the same, or it may be less than the same. It's not going to be more after merging, of course. So we don't know the length of this. So we'll start with the array list. So, and array list, we can start it within an array list, we can just have an array inside that. So the type. So let me define it here. Okay. The coding will be very easy if you understand the problem. So what are the key points? Number one, sort array, and what we are sorting it? We are sorting based on the start time. We have to sort it based on the start time. And first input, the first example is already sorted based on the start time. In the second example, it's also sorted. So there we have the example where it's ending at 4 and 4 to 5. So it's 1 to 5. There's no third example. So we can cook ourselves the third example. Or I'll try to spare it here. For example, if this case is like that. Okay. So if we are given the input like this, so first thing we'll do that to sort it, it will become like that. Okay, that's the first, and based on the start time, based on the start time. And what we'll do, we'll pick up the first interval. Okay, so we'll take the first value of the interval as a new interval. So pick first word, okay, and add to result. So we'll add into the result, and we'll see after the first interval, the second interval, the condition is that if the start of next interval is less than and the first interval. So you can read it in your own logic way if you want to read it in a way that if the end of first interval is less than or equal to the start of the second interval, or you can say if the start of the next interval is less than or equal to then the second interval less than and we can just say less than equal to. Okay, so the start of the next interval is less than or equal to the end of the first interval. That is the logic. And when you're returning, so again we have to convert our array list, convert array list into array. It's a 2D array. Okay, once you have all these steps, so ready to interviewer may be expecting a different solution. And if it does not stop you and just say that I want to start coding this one, that means he's going to accept it if you can finish your code in the remaining time. So the coding should not take time. You must be very quick once you have written all of this. So you must not be thinking about your code. What should I write? How to create array list? How to convert, assign the first interval? How to put the merge if logic? Yeah, you should be very quick on that. So the first thing is the sort. So we have already an interval array. So array dot sort. I'm gonna use the lambda. So it's based on the first interval, comma 0 minus b0. Okay, so it's based on the first value, ascending order. Okay, so that is my sorting. This line is done. Let's come to the next line. Pick first interval, and okay, so we can give this interval new interval. Yes, so what you have to do, you have to make sure that this constraint is already given to you, that it's greater than and equal to 1. Otherwise, you have to put the base condition. You can ask this question, that what is the minimum length of this interval? Anytime if it can be 0, you should put the base condition and return it from there empty. Even if you put it here also, even then it's given that we'll have at least one, it doesn't harm. But I'm not going to put extra code here to confuse you. So interval 0. So that's what I'll take it. So it will take this array and put it into the new interval. And that's what I can put in my output list. So what is my output list? It's an list and that is the integer. Okay, so you can also use a linked list here, and either way, and this is a trade-off. You can talk to the interviewer that if you want to go in more depth, what is the advantage of using the array list or the linked list, which has a pointer overhead, and all of this discussion. If you want to go into this, you can use it. So I'm keeping it a simple thing, just using the list here. So now this is where you're gonna start your logic. So let's iterate your interval. So the first thing we have, okay, we missed that. We should have added this into the output. You can start with index I is equal to 1 if you don't want to process or you don't like this of for loop, then you can start with the index pointer, but I like this style. So even though I will process this and compare with this, the first value is this to this will have no merge, so it would be fine. So I can put it the condition here. If my okay, the time interval, whatever the new interval I define it, new interval, last value. So what my condition is that I'll start of the next interval. So if my interval one, so this is the this end value end of this interval. If this is greater than or equal to the current interval start value. Okay. Another way is that if you are confused with 1 and 0, so you can start like this. First interval or second next interval, previous interval, next interval, start, previous start. You can see, you can define like this integer previous start. So it's just a coding style, whatever you prefer it, and you can put it here. This one is a previous and next start. You can just write like this way. Okay, and you can say integer next. So this is either way. If you, I think I like this one. So you should be comfortable using the indexes, and you should be sure that what this value is. So interval one, which is first interval and value is greater than or equal to if the second interval because it's already sorted. So 0. What we will do if this is the case, if this one is greater than or equal to this, we're going to merge it. So what we're going to merge it, we're going to keep this value as is, and this value will take it this or this, whichever is bigger. Whichever is bigger, that's how it will merge. Okay, this will be the part of the overlapping, so we don't need to worry about it. We need to start with this and add whichever is the maximum between this and this. Okay, because we did not compare this value with this value. Sometimes it can be like it may be a 4 here and it may be 2 to 3 here. So if it is 3, so we'll not take this part. It may not be guaranteed that this part is always greater. So we will be taking the maximum of this and this. I hope this point is clear. And where we are assigning this one, and we are not touching the start of this new interval, so we're just touching the end of the new interval. So which is this is the end, and here we are taking the matrix max. So end of the new interval and the end of the interval which we are processing right now, current interval. Okay, so whichever is this method max, and we don't need to add it because this is already added to the output. So this is going to update by reference, which is already added to the output list. So this value will change whatever we added for. We added 1 and 3. So it will go and change the 3 with 6. after this line. Okay, you can do a debugger or something if you still struggling with the language here and the concept of array. The scope of this problem solving is not to teach you about language, so it's just about how to solve this problem. So next thing, if this condition is not true, it's gonna be here. And as we just take simple interval, now just assign the next value as the current value, and now you will add it to the answer. That's it. That's the only whole logic about it. Last thing is that return whatever your output is as list. Okay, sorry. You add it. You can define your array here. It's a 2D array. The second value is fixed, which is 2. And the first value is the size of this. All right, whenever you're done, you should make sure that you dry run this, and you should also look for syntax error that the bracket is start close, and this one. Okay, there was semicolon, all of this bracket start, and yes, yeah, and read it one more time before you run. Your compiler will tell you some error. So this time, wow, there's no error. Let's submit it. Okay, this is accepted because I have done it so many times. So, but it's not easy, it's a medium problem. But once you solve this, and next time it will be very straightforward. You will not forget about it. Thank you for watching.